What is your most traumatic experience with a teacher? I was bullied really bad. Kids kept drawing awful ugly photos and leaving them on my desk with profanity towards my appearance. I had enough one day after dealing with a lot of abuse at home and the bullying at school, and when I saw another broke down crying and brought it to my teacher. She just grabbed it, looked and asked if I wanted it back. Did nothing to help, wouldn't listen to me about the constant bullying and did absolutely nothing. I was in 7th grade and still remember it to this day. I'm 65, and I still remember when I was 6 and the nun told me to wash my desk and then wring out the sponge, and when I squeezed it instead of twisting it, told the whole class that my mother was a bad mother because she had not taught me correctly. I knew if I protested that my mom was a good mom I would be punished. It still bothers me that I didn't stand up for her. Why did that nun have to put me in that position? Go to mit. As if nuns know a damn thing about motherhood. What a dick. What? No. Angry old virgins know the most about the world. What are you talking about? Teacher told me I was a liar to the whole class as she didn't believe my grandmother was a World War II evacuee. She refused to believe me as she assumed my mom was younger than she looked at the time, and therefore my grandmother was younger as well. She thought my mom was in her late 20s when in reality she was in her early 40s at the time. Got accused of plagiarism over a paper I wrote, and didn't plagiarize, that I was really excited about because of how well I thought I did on it. Enthusiasm fully destroyed. During quiet reading time, teacher brought me to front of the class because I was reading a book for girls, and he asked me, why are you reading a girls book? Are you a girl? Then made me choose a book for boys to read. I was maybe 10 or 11. The book was Matilda, by the way. The book was Matilda, by the way. Fitting. He sounds like a Miss Trunchbull, not a Miss Honey. Edit. Thought she was a Jenny, not a Honey. Some names just are nice people names. No. Her name was Miss Honey because she was sweet as honey. This man's teacher was definitely a Miss Trunchbull for sure. My favorite teacher in middle school was arrested for child pornography. He wasn't my favorite after that. He also wasn't my teacher after that. I said that the dot over the I or J is called a tittle. She said it's not a tittle, it's a dot. And with that, she accused me of being impertinent. I read tittle. LMAO, me too. Technically it was the vice principal, but the day my brother died, apparently he thought it would be a good idea to walk in on story time. The teacher was reading to the class, set me on his lap and tell me in front of everyone that my brother committed suicide. Dude, what a freak. I'm so sorry this happened to you. We were discussing Jean Vanier and Larchie. For context, Jean Vanier decided to invite 2 intellectually disabled men to live with him and started setting up homes for them so they wouldn't be in asylums. The teacher looked right at me, I'm disabled, and said, oh yeah, Vanier created those homes so you people wouldn't be bothering people because the handicapped don't function in society. My friend, I left just to talk it out. X200B. He got fired a few years later because he did not have his license up to date. Cherry on top, his wife was the vice principal. One time I was on my period and I asked the teacher to go to the bathroom multiple times. She refused to let me go. Eventually I stained my uniform and the chair. I was so embarrassed that I started crying. When my mother found out, she made the school fire that motherfudger. Good going, Ma, glad she stood up for you. Not exactly me, but had a teacher yell at one of my friends for not doing his homework and give him a Saturday school, even though his parents had died the night before. Fudge that teacher. Removed. 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 Not so traumatic, but was a very bad experience for many. My science teacher subtracted 3 points of everyone's grades because he had a bad day. Half of my friends didn't make it to the next year. Wow, What a fudging dick. Yes, because I had a bad day, let me just fail half my class. Used to love math and science, until I had a teacher in 6th grade who would bully, mock, and do everything in his power to embarrass me in front of the entire class. I lost all love I had for school after that class. Fuck you, Mr. Bright. He doesn't live up to his name, sadly. Yeah, no one is going to be taking Mr. Bright's side. When I was in 2nd grade, my mom died. When I was in 3rd grade, the evil witch of a teacher held me back from recess one day for something. While it was just us in the room, she asked if I went to church. I said no. She then told me that I was going to hell and would never see my mom again. I hated that bitch. This thread is filling me with rage towards some teachers. Came here for the light childhood embarrassment, left with a general sense of outrage for the human race. Had a teacher who hated my dad because he used to trespass onto the facility my dad was a manager of back in the day. Fucker was taking it all on me and was pretty open about it. I'm sorry, your teacher for mad at you because he used to trespass? In 5th grade I would often become sick to my stomach and cry for hours, later in life found out that these were panic attacks. My teacher spanked me with a bungee cord until I stopped crying. I still resent her and my parents for that. Spanked me with a bungee cord until I stopped crying. Do people have brains or no? Because doing something that will probably make a problem worse doesn't usually solve said problem. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about was always a valid parenting method when I was growing up. Uneasy face. I was in the 4th grade. Found a dry erase marker on the playground. I wrote my initials on the tire swing. Classmate rats me out. I get yelled at for like 20 minutes straight about vandalism of school property. She starts going off about how it's the first step to becoming a criminal. Being a little kid, this scared the shiz out of me. It was probably another 2 years before I believed that I wasn't going to become a criminal as an adult. You wrote something on a swing that could easily be erased? Yes, officer, this comment right here. /S. I got into a shouting match with my band director before a marching band competition in another state. He had anger issues and the fight was over him calling me out in front of everyone for messing up my saxophone solo the week before. There was no one else around to see or hear the shouting. He never said so much as a word to me for the remainder of my time in high school and I was perfectly fine with it. My band director forced me to switch sections my senior year. She took me away from the only family I had and put me on an instrument I didn't know just because I was the only general brass leader, and put me in charge of a section that was 40% asshole. Terrible year, but I'd do it again. I accidentally played footsie with a teacher. He was my English teacher and also the baseball coach. The baseball and softball teams traveled together sometimes and somehow we wound up sitting at the same table. Though I was nudging someone else and he said something. I turned beet red. Was he decent enough never to bring it up again? Or did you two end up together eventually? Haha, thankfully he never brought it up again. He was super attractive though and we still email on occasion, but he has a wife and 2 kids lol. 6th grade. I was 11. Hadn't been diagnosed with now ADHD, yet. The only way I could pay attention in class was if I doodled in the margins of my notes, and bounced my legs. My history teacher noticed I did this, and if he caught me he'd rip the page out of my notebook, show it to the class, and marvel at what a bad student and unintelligent person I was, to everyone. Edit, if y'all are suspicious about yourselves, hit up a psychiatrist for an ADHD test. These were symptoms for me, though they may not be indicative of ADHD for everyone. Talk to a professional about it. Teacher forced me to handwrite a story, then got mad when I couldn't read it to the class. I have learning disabilities and normally use the school laptop, but she wouldn't let me use it. That's illegal now. If we go against an IEP, We have serious repercussions, or at least we're supposed to. Sadly, not every administration does a good job taking care of their spec ed students. This does put a smile on my face. Screamed at me because I came in smiling and humming BC it was my birthday, said it was disruptive and I cried on the spot, and now I have burning hatred for that teacher. But hey, she got hit by a car, don't worry, not a scratch though, just bumped. Glad to hear the car is okay. Especially after hitting something so dense. You need an award as well, but I'm broke. Sorry. You appreciating my joke is reward enough, winky face. Teacher accused me of stealing artwork I imagined and created myself. She failed me for the quarter. Hands down the best teacher I ever had, got pulled out mid-class to get arrested for multiple child molestation charges. Computer teacher shamed me into withdrawing from the one programming class the school offered after the first day of it because he said he didn't think I was capable of learning how to program and that other kids more capable couldn't take it because I was filling a spot. Report the damn ** computer teacher for shaming you.